The Resident Evil Outbreak spin-offs are games that get ignored a lot, especially by Capcom, which is a real shame for many reasons. Among these forgotten ruins of Raccoon City, you can find one of my favorite characters in any medium. Step aside Chris Roydfield and Leon Suave Kennedy. Her name is Cindy Lennox, and she would love to take your order. On the surface, my favorite character being some random waitress in the city seems strange. However, that's what makes her interesting. I've always preferred characters that feel like regular people, compared to crazy super soldiers like we commonly see in a lot of action and horror games these days, Resident Evil included. She's kind, hardworking, optimistic, and maybe a little naive as she does her best in the middle of the zombie outbreak of 1998. Hey, I'm Areku, your local Fox Demon VTuber, and I'm here to go over why Cindy Lennox is my favorite character in the Resident Evil series. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Like a lot of characters from RE, Cindy's story is vague before the events of the game, and the saddest week of her life. She shows interest in the various herbs found in Raccoon City. She uses cooking ingredients mostly. Luckily, she becomes aware of their health benefit, something that comes in very handy in the escape from the city. Hey, wait a minute. Anyway, although she held a customer-facing job at a dive bar, Cindy is reserved and a little too innocent. When her boss wanted her to wear a more revealing work outfit, she vehemently, and I mean vehemently, disagreed, calling him a perv. Cindy is also a bit religious, regularly attending church, and has a big interest in cooking and music. For fun, she would often visit the local zoo and also collects merchandise of the zoo's mascot, Mr. Raccoon, who she's a huge fan of. Even keeps a pinup of him on her locker at work. Despite her personality being totally at odds with the normal rabble of Jay's bar, she was quite popular at work. There are hints littered throughout both Outbreak games that two other protagonists, Dr. George Hamilton and Officer Kevin Ryman, both had a bit of a crush on Cindy. Naturally, the carefree Kevin would openly flirt with her and they struck up a friendship, while the introverted George kept his cards close to the chest. In fact, according to File 2, the only regular at the bar that didn't jive with Cindy is the nihilistic David King. He viewed her as childish and her positive attitude naive. Cindy, in general, is a prime example of a good person thrown into a horrible situation she didn't deserve. She has a quiet strength to her, staying kind even in the face of tragedy, and despite her fear, she will do all she can to help others. It's these qualities I find so endearing about her. She is a total sweetheart and always keeps up her positivity, even when faced with seemingly impossible odds.
We did it!
Now in gameplay, Cindy is the most straightforward healer character. She comes with a pouch that can store up to 3 of each herb and 1 mixed herb, and is the only character that can use healing items on others. She also has a very iconic dodge in the Outbreak community, which gets her out of most bad situations and makes her poor HP not too big of an issue. Her run speed is also pretty good, despite wearing high heels. Not sure how she manages that. All the characters in Outbreak also have a unique stat related to their virus speed. In this game, you only die when your virus hits 100%. Usually. And Cindy's is rather interesting. On paper, her virus is really slow, but it spikes several percent from any damage she takes, making her the most punishing character to getting hit, despite always having herbs on hand. Feels like a small bit of story gameplay integration, applying her frail healer nature to her gameplay stats. She is also one of the few characters with no way to do extra damage with any weapon, which relegates her to be a support. She's never a bad pick though, and can at least run objectives and keep herself safe very well as she heals people who need it, which is a good thing as she'll need all the help she can get to survive the tragedy of Raccoon City. The night the outbreak started, it was business as usual at Jay's bar. One supposedly drunk-looking man staggered in, and that was the moment Cindy's life changed forever. After the death of her close friend Will, the first victim to fall to the undead, she helped the customers who were still around to escape and make it to Main Street where the biggest horde in the city awaited. Despite her confusion and fear, she summoned her inner strength and, alongside security guard Mark Wilkins and others from Jay's bar, aided the police against the horde. They eventually set off a bomb that leveled the main street entirely, resulting in a zombie kill count that would make Leon Kennedy blush. Afterwards, she was taken into police protection and surely nothing else impeded her escape from Raccoon City.
Who could ever have imagined that such a day like this would come? With all of the tragedies surrounding us, I felt insignificant. But it's different now. I believe that I will survive anything. I'm scared, but I have to keep going.
Yesterday, just before dawn, the Pentagon announced that radioactive waste has been leaked throughout Raccoon City. In accordance with U.S. safety regulations, the city has been placed under quarantine, and the Army has been sent in to investigate and control the situation.
It's rather unclear what happened after this initial incident due to the game's format of replayable scenarios instead of a cohesive story, but most likely the van was attacked and she was separated from the police. Soon after this, Cindy made her way towards a familiar location, the Raccoon City Zoo. Here she found a flyer talking about a chopper pickup on the other side of the zoo. Thinking it was safer than the street, Cindy headed through the gate. Unfortunately, this place too had been ravaged by the outbreak, and Cindy would face her greatest challenge. After the greatest fight of her life, with the help of other survivors and a hunting rifle they had to quickly learn how to use, the chaos in the zoo caused them to be late for the chopper's arrival. But this would be a blessing, as the chopper crashed into the crowd and there were no survivors. Folks, if you take one thing away from this, let it be to never enter a helicopter in a Resident Evil game until the credits. With this bleak situation affecting her morale, it's unknown where she went from here. There is some dialogue that implies she ended up at the Raccoon City Police Department and helped out Lieutenant Marvin and the crew before Leon and Claire arrived, but this is unconfirmed. What we do know is that days passed as she continued to fight for her life. Eventually, however, the final day approached. We know of two possibilities she could have used to escape the city, through the final scenarios of both respective Outbreak games. It could have been either way, but due to her relationship with George, I think it's most likely she followed him to Raccoon University on the evening of September 30th. George found a note addressed to him from an old friend promising information about the outbreak. So George gathered up who he could and they went to investigate. Unfortunately, the friend didn't make it.
No!
After much hardship in this place of higher learning, she, George, and two others managed to gather ingredients needed to synthesize a T-virus cure. How very fortunate, as at some point over the course of the outbreak, they had all become infected. They nearly failed to make the cure due to interference from Umbrella lapdog Nikolai. Yes, that Nikolai, who set up C4s to destroy the whole university building. What a jerk! Thankfully, they all managed to escape with the cure, and after a battle with a refined tyrant named Thanatos, they were rescued in a chopper.
It's finished at last. But I'm out of a job. Oh!
It's nothing.
Don't be silly. You need to stop the bleeding. Yeah. There's any number of things I can do.
After her escape, she earns a large cash settlement due to a class action lawsuit against Umbrella, who caused the zombie outbreak, led by other survivor and playable character Yoko Suzuki, and lives out every millennial's impossible dream. house ownership.
Yeah, I just decided that it's time to start something new, you know? You really should come by.
I've always had a soft spot for kind, innocent characters, and Cindy absolutely fits that bill. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Cindy's journey and personality, consider leaving a like and subscribing, or check out the links in the description for other ways to support. I also stream Resident Evil Outbreak on my Twitch and YouTube every Sunday, where I almost exclusively play Cindy in online matches and even modded levels. Pretty exciting sometimes. What do you think of Cindy, or Outbreak as a whole? Do you think I missed something important? Let me know in the comments. I'm experimenting with different content like game reviews and deep dives like this, so I'd love to know what you enjoyed or think I could do better. See you next time. Bye-bye.